Guys, it's coffee time, and I'm having a pretty good day so far. I got kind of a late start because I stayed up really late watching the end of Slings and Arrows because I had to. Now it's out of my life until I buy the DVDs, which I know I'm going to. But last night, a friend that I haven't talked to in a really, really long time texted me, and it just reminded me because in the last coffee time we were talking about books and how I was saying that unless a book is really good, I get about 20 pages in and then I stop. Here's the other weird block that I have about books is I'll get like 10 to 15 pages away from the end of the book and I'll just stop typically. Like it's a really good book, I made it almost all the way through and then I'll stop when there's like almost nothing left. And makes my friends so angry when they recommend books to me because they're like, "Have you finished it?" I'm like, "No." But I don't know. I don't like sometimes when a book is really good and I get really attached to the characters, I don't want to know. Like I can create my own personal canon. I don't need to know how the author finished this book. They don't have that power over me. They can just be like, I can pretend that whatever ending I wanted is what happened. Or sometimes the climax happens quicker than you think it's going to in a book. And so you get to the end of the book and it's like that weird filler stage where it's like the let's talk about what happened stage or the aftermath sort of thing. And sometimes I'm just like, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for what just happened. And then I like to pretend that the climax didn't happen too quickly for me. And this is all just one big innuendo. I like to pretend that that like an alien showed up at the very end and was like, "Hey guys, it wasn't that easy." And they all went, "No." And then me personally in my imagination went, "Yes." Made it all funny. What was my point? Oh, so this girl that I haven't talked to in a really, really long time texted me and it reminded me because she, like my sister and so many other friends that I have, can sit down and read like 5 books in like a second. And I go, "What?" My brain just explodes. I don't understand because it takes me a normal sized novel. It would take me probably 3 days to read if it was really good. But my sister can literally sit down and read like 3 or 4 books in a day. I'm just like, how? It's magic. It's witchcraft. It's crazy. But so this girl used to, when we were in private school together, and it was a very small private school, so all of the professors, not the professors, you call them professors in college, all of our teachers, would be very nosy about what we were doing. And she would always bring romance novels to school. And I would be like, "What are you doing?" Because romance novels have a pretty good reputation for being porn. So she would bring them to school, but she wouldn't like she would talk about what she was reading, but not in a like, "Oh, it's so romantic" or "Oh, it's so hot" way. She would read it and she would talk about like the things that were strange about them. Like, "Oh, well, I'm reading this book and there's this weird like storyline going on right now where this guy doesn't want to give any information to the girl until she like spends the night with him. But he keeps phrasing it as 'I want an entire night with you.' And I keep wondering, like, wouldn't they fall asleep eventually?" And I'm like, what? And that's what she would do. She would analyze these romance novels. And I'd be like, no. Romance novels are intended for you to read them and have them be pointless. And if you're me, to laugh through most of the book. And she would always bring them to private school. And we were in, like, middle school. So the teachers would walk up while she was reading it and be like, "Oh, what are you reading?" And then she would flip out, being like, "Oh, nothing. I'm not reading anything." Put it in her backpack and then pull out her Bible and be like, "Oh, it's time for me to read the Bible. Bye." You're like, dude, you've got to stop bringing these to school, A. It's like, it's almost as bad in a private school. It's almost as bad as the kids who bring drugs to school. Because at my private school, because we were in such a rural area, it was a combination of the kids from very religious families and the kids who got kicked out of public school. Smushed together in a tiny, tiny, tiny school. Which meant you had a lot of goody two-shoes and a lot of kids acting out constantly. It drove us insane. Like, I walked into the bathroom one day and there was just a giant hole in the wall. And I was like, well, there you go. And you knew that one of the students did it. Like, there was just no question. Besides the fact that it was a school. Da-da-da-da. But it's... for some reason, like, that's the first thing that I thought of when she texted me. She was like, hey, how's it going? We haven't, like, chatted in a while. And I was like, oh, I was just talking about books. And you used to do the weirdest stuff. Like, why? Why do that? I don't get it. I don't understand. Moral of the story is, if you go to a private school, don't bring romance novels to school. And that's about it. It's the only bit of advice I have for you if you go to a public school. Probably don't bring drugs, but assume that, at least 25% of the kids that go to that school probably bring drugs, so at least you'd have friends. Good times going to private school. I liked private school, but I was glad to go to public school in high school. Just saying. And yeah, that's pretty much my story for you today. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Happy Monday, and I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. Okay, gonna go to work. Bye.